Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I have a fantastic group of people with me. So, without further ado, let me bring them up. But before that, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. Check out the Oswald Chronicles on Kickstarter. And now we're going to bring everybody in. Mr. Brian Rodman, how you doing? Please,
hello, sir.
Let everybody know who you are and where they can find you.
Absolutely. My name is Brian Rodman. I am the author and artist of the horror fantasy comic book series Memoirs of an Angel. And you can find me at brianrodman.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And also the Memoirs of an Angel page is on Facebook as well. And I'm on Twitter as well. Just search Brian Rodman and you'll see my wonderful, beautiful bearded face.
And this is Damien Waldron. Waldron? Damn it, I messed up your name completely.
Would not be the first.
You know, it's funny, we were just talking about this too.
My fear just happened, and it wasn't me. This is great.
David, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
I am the artist, co-writer of Romer X, publisher through my own Day One Comics. I smack microphones constantly. Currently, I'm working on sort of a multimedia thing where I'm doing some action figures. I'm doing, trying to do some podcasting. I'm in the middle of 20 things, but ruomniversal.com is where you can find me. Our radio station is up live, not running at the moment since I'm on here, but radiofreeomniverse.com, players right at the top, free music, 24 hours a day. And beyond that, I'm here right now. So
nice. There you go. Mr. Ryan Kroboth, how you doing? So please let everybody know they can find you in your work.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kroboth. I'm the artist on the Apocalyptic Fantasy Sunmaker. You can find me at ryankroboth.com, and that links up to all my other websites. So nice and easy.
There you go. Nice. Mr. Stephen A. Roman, how are you?
The returning Jeopardy champion. I'm Stephen A. Roman. I'm the publisher of Star Warp Concepts and the writer of the Lorelei the Succubus comic books and the Saga of Pandora's Wyback young adult novels and occasional comics. I'm also the scripter for Citadel, the Last Earthman for Honorary Comics, and I'm usually tooling around in the internet just like this, completely unprepared.
Nice. Mr. JD Rosario.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't mess up that name. If you did, we would have had some problems there.
I know how to roll my R's, sir. I know how to roll my R's.
My name is JD Rosario. I have been publishing under the Unstoppable Comics for the last 12 years. We just finished up our Kickstarter. We're going to start fulfilling rewards for that. Going to launch a new one for Storm Chasers Volume 2 in the next few months. And you can find us on Unstoppable Comics Facebook, Unstoppable Comics Instagram, Unstoppable COM Twitter, and you can find me here tonight.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I was going to ask you, where the hell's my book? Anyway.
My book.
And now, Mr. Randy Zimmerman, how are you, sir?
Real good. Hey, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I'm an alternative independent comic creator from way back. I'm currently working on reforming Arrow Comics into Arrow Comics 4.0. And we'll be doing some crowdfunding materials here this year, as well as maybe a few other surprises. But I've been in this business long enough to have literally done it all. So I've experienced the direct market from its birth and, done a lot of stuff. So
there you go. That's right.
Happy to be here.
Respect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. So look, like I said, we'll start off with this. 2020 just ended. So what better to do than to reminisce about 2020, right?
Oh, joy.
So here we go. Here we go, brothers.
Anybody got a meat grinder handy?
Exactly, please. And
Just asking. Just asking.
And a monkey. All right.
And a monkey.
But so we'll start with Brian. So what is your proudest accomplishment in comics in 2020?
Well, we actually had our most successful Kickstarter for Memoirs of an Angel, issue 6, and it went so well that we decided to go ahead and move forward with a quarterly release schedule starting this year. So we will be releasing a comic every quarter, and we're gonna do that through Kickstarter and see how that goes. Just our, we've been getting a lot of love on Kickstarter. Our fan base is growing, and it's, we're loving it, and we're just gonna see where it takes us. So we'll just keep pushing it until, sky's the limit, as they say. But but no, yeah, that was our best Kickstarter that we've had. We've had 3 so far, and this was the most successful. So, and a couple of you backed that, so I appreciate that very much. But that, and also I do a show called the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, and we made the transition to a YouTube show, me and my co-host Jeremy Woodring, and it was a fantastic season. We were able to interview a lot of really great people, a lot of really awesome new friends and old friends, and after this, I'm sure I'll be messaging all of you to jump on next year's schedule. So yeah, it was as far as being hunkered down in hermit mode, trying to escape the end of the world. It was pretty productive, and pretty thankful for that.
Cool. I mean, yeah, I was about to question, your greatest season ever. I mean, I wasn't on there. Randy wasn't there.
That's true. Yeah. Well, greatest season yet so far. Once
so
you guys
far,
show up, then you're just, the bar's so low now. Good grief, like.
Might as well be a DC movie.
There you go. So, David, what was your greatest accomplishment?
Well, it 2020 kicked me in that area pretty hard. So my biggest accomplishment in that area was to get into the Indie Wars Anthology from Antarctic Press.
Nice.
And pretty much get on every cover variation there was. They put a Realmer X on it. It was a nice little story, and it's played into some other things. I have gotten together with a writer friend of mine, Jim Tennell, and we are actually pushing for in 2021 to have a quarterly schedule of being able to put out books. Hopefully cons will open up again because besides the comics themselves, I did a lot of other stuff at those. But as far as 2020, that was about it. I got a lot of ducks in a row ready to proceed.
All right, cool.
But you have ducks, and that's awesome.
That's true. Not chickens. Chickens are hard to line up.
Oh yeah.
But so we'll go down. We'll work our way around in that. So Jay, what was your proudest accomplishment?
Oh wow, man! This was like everybody. This was that double-edged sword of a year, right? You had your ups and your downs. You had your way ups and your way downs. I started off the year by running my first comic book convention with over 170 vendors here in New York. Really, really successful. And then, the wind came out of our sails. We had successful book launches on Kickstarter. But the most personal, awesome moment for me was the artist, the Marvel artist, now DC artist, Aletha Martinez. She honored me by turning me into a hero in one of those little Marvel Make Me a Hero videos. And
cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I went from writing comics to being in a comic. So that was an awesome moment for me. I think that was my highlight. It came at a great cost for what I had to do to be in that video. But it was awesome that she was able to recognize me and honor me by doing that.
Nice. And you said this was Althea?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if you know who she is. She's one of Marvel's most accredited female artists. She is now going to be doing one of the Wonder Woman DC future books.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 2, one Brazilian one and one African American one.
Right.
And so Aletha is going to be doing one of those 2. I don't know exactly which one though.
Nice. That's good. It's about time she gets recognized more.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, Mr. Roman, how are you? And what was your greatest accomplishment for 2020?
That I was able to publish it all this year.
Yeah.
Right.
No conventions to go to, nowhere to really sell the books that I put out. I put out 2 digital titles. I put out The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in October, and a comic called Lorelei Genesis, which was a collection of the small press version of the character that I used to draw back in '89 and '91, and just put that out there. And then I actually managed to get one actual book published this year, as I reach behind me, called From the Stars of Vampirus, an unauthorized guide to Vampirella's classic horror adventures, which is my analysis of the Warren Publishing years from 1969 to 1983, when Vampirella was published, and tell the story behind it, the creation, the synopses of every story, the story of the 1975 Hammer horror movie that was supposed to have been made, never went anywhere, and then the awful 1996 movie that was made for Showtime with Roger Daltrey in probably his worst role. And so I was very happy that I was able to get the book out entirely, but then I had trouble getting it reviewed because the companies that I was sending it to were all packing up and working from home, and they all kind of sort of left the book in the office when they ran out. So I didn't get as many reviews as I wanted to, but still the reviews that came out were really good. So I was happy to get the book out, and I was happy for the response it's gotten. So hopefully it will continue to sell.
Nice. Ryan, what was your greatest accomplishment?
Yeah, so it's really cool hearing all the awesome stuff everybody's doing. So I actually tried branching out a little bit. I took some of the work I did for my indie comics, where I've done like pinups, covers, other stuff like that. I collected it together into an art book. I launched a Kickstarter early in the year. It ended up being my most successful Kickstarter from a logistics standpoint. It's just really awesome. Like I love art books. I'm really passionate about them, so it's really cool that I'm going to be able to have that to offer, when conventions come back. And because of the pandemic, like I kind of had to pick up hours at work, so it forced me to be more focused on work outside. So I've spent most of the year trying to finish up all my commitments, and I'm almost done penciling the last issue of the comic I've been working on. So pretty excited.
Yeah, cool. Nice. So Randy, your turn. What's been your biggest accomplishment this year? Or excuse me, last year?
Last year, yeah, so far this year, it's been waking up in the morning. Last year, probably the growth that Indie Volt Radio has seen with Varian, that we've gained so many listeners all over the world. It's amazing. It's frightening. At times, people are freaking. Sometimes when they come on the air, you're how many people are listening? But Varian has built up an internet radio station as well as a YouTube and Facebook channel, and he's built it up into a nice little company that I'm very happy to be a proud of. Personal accomplishment: I've kicked out the 5th issue of the Preservers. That is a team of superheroes that I created for our local nature preserve. And what we do is we put together, actually, it's Formar, which is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. We put together a story, a superhero story, using these characters once a year. I just finished the 6th trail for them, just like right during the bug hit. And that was a challenge, to say the least, because people were being furloughed and not being furloughed and calling up and wanting progress. I was working from home on this, but what we do is we put together about 14. This year was 14, the equivalent of what you would consider to be a Sunday comic page. And we blow them up really big, about 4 feet by 2 feet. And stick them on metal signs all throughout the nature preserve. We back them up with a big sheet of plastic and laminate them so nobody can really destroy them. But it gives the people who come to the park a mile walk to go around and read a story using superheroes to teach conservation, preservation to different people.
Awesome.
And this has turned out so well. Finished my 6th trail, and then every time we're done with the trail, we put everything together into a comic that they give away at their welcome center. Plus everything, plus all of the trails are available over at I can give you the right address. I never seem to do that. GeneseeCountyParks.org. You can download the PDFs for all of the previous trails, especially if you can't get over to Michigan. But if you are over in Flint, Michigan, around the Burton area, and you find Formar Nature Preserve, you can pop into the Welcome Center and actually get 5 free comics that are all the trails put together. And the first one introduces all of the characters, because it's an ever-growing roster, which has been a lot of fun, because every year they end up adding another character or two. I keep telling them they need to do trading cards just so I can get more work. But anyway, it turned out incredibly good. It's always been a personal accomplishment of mine. And if you ever see Animal Planet, that has a series called Treehouse Masters, we actually had, in our 2nd year of being in existence, we actually had the Treehouse Masters guys come out and shoot an episode called Nature's Superheroes. And I'm in it like long enough to blink and miss, but the work is all through it, and that's what's really important. And we point out the fact that we're using superheroes, we're using sequential art to teach and to inform people as well as entertain them, because it's not just all boring soapbox, talk. Some of it is really interesting. I've learned a lot the last few years working with the folks in the Parks and Rec, and they've been very, very good to me. But other than that, the Indie Volt radio programs have been really good. I started the Sunday Funnies this year. Earlier today, Sunday mornings, we do 2 hours where we talk about the more lighthearted and whimsical side of comics, or we try to have the more lighter side of comics and talk about, the funny books, really. And other than that, I got to start my own crowdfunding book this time. And we also started an anthology, and we're getting that off the ground. So hopefully next year I will have 2 crowdfunding campaigns, providing I can get this 2nd book done. But definitely the early in the first quarter, we'll be pushing what we're calling Indie Volt Revolt, and it'll be the first book back by Arrow Comics. And the Indie Volt Revolt will have people that have been on the Indie Volt channel, JD's one of them, that all contribute short stories, beginning, middle, and ends, self-contained short stories to this hopefully 96-page volume that will offer crowdfunding here probably in a couple of weeks. So I want to secure a 2nd cover before we go forth and do it. The first cover I've got from Russ Leach, if you know who he is. He's really an awesome artist, and that cover is looking really good. I'm hoping to secure a 2nd one here within the next week or so. As soon as that's nailed down, we'll start that campaign and get it rolling. But we've got a lot of good stories, and it's going to be a real fun project. I know you didn't ask about this year, but that's kind of what I'm looking forward to this year.
So pretty much Randy's just kicking our butts, guys.
Randy,
That's what he just said.
Something like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for that.
Randy, I work with
times,
Russ a lot. Russ is a great guy.
Oh yes, he is. There's a lot of times I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I'm not as young as you guys, so I've been doing this since I'm probably even older than JD, if you can believe that. So,
how could you ever imagine?
who knew?
Who knew?
I just try to hide it. I wear a hat, and glasses. But it's literally been a blast. 'Cause comics is my passion, and there was a long time when I was doing Arrow Comics Diamond, quite honestly, and frankly, really burned me out of the business. And I got out for about 10 years, and I was doing a local comic paper that I usually have a sample of, very, very handy to grab at times. Here we go. Like this, called Flint Comics and Entertainment. We kick this baby out every month, and it's circulated around the Flint, Michigan, Genesee County area. We moved through 10,000 copies of this. It was advertiser supported. We gave it away for free. Had all sorts of comic strips, syndicated strips, comic book stories, just anything that we could get our hands on, anything we thought was fun for people to read. We even had a column in there by a comedian, a column in there by a xenobiologist who was talking about all the monsters that are found in the local area, that, Bigfoots and UFO sightings and that kind of thing. But it was a blast to do. And I was really sorry to have to stop it. But when I stopped it, I got turned on to the YouTube and the podcasting all before. And, Varian kept pointing me to different sites to watch videos on about people critiquing comics. And I'm very opinionated when it comes to the art form that I love. So I'm sitting there going, maybe I should think about doing this. So 2 years ago, I started the Zim Geek channel, though I don't add to it very much anymore because I'm always on the air with Indy Volt. So, or doing stuff like this, which is fun.
So, guys, we should all be ashamed of ourselves.
I feel it washing over me right now.
Exactly. We're letting Randy run over us.
I'm going to leave the group right now.
Like I said, thanks a lot for that. But I also do commercial work on the side. In fact, on the other side of the curtain, I've got a tremendously large shirt order that I'm delivering tomorrow. Nice. So that nice. I press down here in the basement. So I learned a long time ago, you got to have a lot of side hustles. And you got to get money in from any place that you can. And I also have a loving wife most of the time. Who covers the medical insurance and works full time. So,
oh man, I feel like you've got to be like a superhero on the side as well. Like that's just lucky devil, right? Like
twice a year he becomes Captain Equinox. I can see that. No, just kidding.
Well, I can say for myself, my proudest moment is just getting my my story on, not so much online, but getting it together to a point where I can see an end. So,
amen.
Yeah,
exactly. Because it's like I said, I'm about 12 to 1300 pages into the Oswald Chronicles, but I probably have just as many pages to finish it. Mm-hmm. But at least now I can see an ending to it, which is the thing that's that's haunting. That's the monkey on my back.
It's in sight. That's encouraging.
Oh yeah. It's in sight. I'm hoping to get it done for the next 6 months or so. We'll see. All right, guys. So let's move on. So here's one for you. Who or what company most influenced the comic book industry beyond COVID? What was what was the thing that you guys felt that happened in comics that most influenced comics as a whole? We will start with Randy because you're at the bottom.
I'm at the bottom.
Sorry.
Can I pass?
Can you pass? Yeah. Well, let's go to Ryan. How about you, Ryan? How do you feel about that?
So I think Scout Comics has been doing some really great things, like seeing the stuff that they've done with the creator owns. They've been trying out new models with like single issues going into trades. Mm-hmm. And I think it's influenced the way some people have been thinking about how they're pitching to publishers. And I think that's like a really cool thing. Like I've seen a lot of really good books come out through them.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. I don't know if Source Point would agree with you, but definitely,
I think Source Point does pretty much the same thing, and they're doing the same thing. Like it's really hard to pick. Like to me, those are like the two people that are like the top of the game right now for like the indies, is Source Point and Scout. And I just know more people that have Scout books. It's nothing personal.
No, it's just I was just breaking Brian's chops.
Yeah.
As I read his hat, it throws me off my game.
It's okay. Judgment-free zone.
There you go.
All right. So Steve, so what do you think? What do you think has been the thing or the company that's been making the big moves in the industry this year?
I can't really answer that because I really don't pay a great deal of attention to what's been going on in comics. I'll read comic sites, but I have no connection to any of it, so I don't really pay attention to what they're doing. Beyond the only thing that made an impression was DC cutting with Diamond. Mm-hmm. And that just seems to be them stumbling around figuring what they want to do, because even when one of their own distributors that they went off to be with cut them loose, then I don't know where that's going. Yeah. But other than that, nothing else has really made an impression on me.
Right. Fair enough. Mr. J?
Okay. So I brought this up last time I was on the show, and it may have seemed like I was against it, but Boom going on Kickstarter with Piano, and people were arguing, why should a company that's top 10 be on a crowdfunding platform? But I don't know about you guys. I'm not in shops, right? I don't have enough margin in my books to put it in shops. So by him launching a book on that platform brought so many new eyes, it affected me positively. And my last launch, it showed. I had backers that I had never, had on any of my past 16 launches before support this new book. So Boom's pop on Kickstarter, I think was a big move.
All right, cool. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for him to give me a chunk of that. He could just. I don't understand why they need 1.4 million. They could give me 50 grand. It'll be fine. I think they can live without it. But anyway, Damien, who do you feel is made the moves these years? This year,
I'm kind of with Ryan, where because I've had to be so focused on what I'm doing that I really haven't paid much attention to. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing actually about the DC thing. One thing I did notice on the fan side of actual access, I'm a Marvel kid from way back, so I have Marvel Unlimited, and after the gap in publishing, they actually went back and started weekly uploading to Marvel Unlimited, so that people could catch up on those books without having to go to the store, or not going to the store, but like have to buy them off their digital. If you still want the floppies, they're going to be there. But if you're digital, you could access them sooner through that service. And now they're caught up to about a 3-month lead time. Mm-hmm. So when it comes out in the shop, 3 months later, it's on their platform. I don't have the money to buy floppies. I hate to say it. I try to buy digital, or I'm buying off Kickstarter. So it's one of those things where if I'm going to spend money on comics, it's going to be on somebody I know that working really, really hard on their own, like I am, that I want to support. Oh, that sounds a little jaded, but
not to me.
I've got like five. I've got $5 spare bucks or 10 or whatever that digital copy is going to be. It's automatic. If it's somebody that I really do like. If I don't know them, I'll do that. But I think indies on Kickstarter really, I think, are changing the face of that more than anything else. It's more of like a collaborative effort on that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, Mr. Brian.
I'll combine Ryan and Damien's answers really. I think as far as small press goes, Scout Comics killed it in 2020. I kept seeing just amazing work come out of that studio over the last year, and I thought that was fantastic. Source Point Press, same deal, and I would even add, I saw really good work coming out of like TKO Studios, as well as Behemoth Comics, but really this is where I live, is just the self-published indie creators on Kickstarter, is really, man, like it's great to see that door opening in general, but it was just so great to see so many people, not just kind of roll over and let 2020, screw them over. They got to work. And it was great seeing so many people just, either I was seeing so many, creators that I know that, they Comic Cons were done. So virtual cons popped up. People were doing podcasts that weren't doing podcasts before. YouTube channel shows started popping up, and Kickstarter blew up. I know my friend Kaylin Smith just, kind of came out. She's doing her own series right now called For Goodness Sake, and Volume 2 killed it on Kickstarter. Like, I feel like that lady breaks records every time she puts something out there. And so just people like her, and that's mostly what I pay attention to anymore, is people that are just kind of going out there, self-publishing on their own. Absolutely nothing against people who are being published. I obviously pay attention to those too, and eat those up as well. But most of my money goes towards self-published indie creators, because I'm one of them, and it's just awesome to see so many people just flip the bird to the gatekeepers and go do it and build a fan base on their own. And I saw a lot of that in 2020, and it was great to see.
All right, cool. Well, I know for myself, I'm with Steve. I think the biggest thing that happened was DC breaking with Diamond. Mm-hmm. And I think because what it is that it'll hopefully at some point really open up the market
Yeah.
Because Diamond Stranglehold, it's terrible. Randy's been there. He'll tell you. He's they basically drummed him out of the business. They almost did the same to me. You understand? Steve's been there, dealing with them. You see him roll his eyes, right? So, I mean, see, Steve has a good camera. I can tell.
Yeah.
If I could unpass.
Okay, go ahead, Randy. Go ahead.
And say something. I think 2020 was really a transition year for more than one thing in this industry as part of that. And if you go back and you look at the industry, at the history of the industry, you always see advancements in dire times. There's always a jump in sales. There's always a jump in the art form during dire times. And I think we've seen that, and it's going to continue into 2021. I bet you have what do you see coming up in the future? So I question JD, right? Coming up. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to step on that, but just to say the one thing that I really saw as an outsider coming back into this after 10 years, looking at the direct market again, deciding to get back into the direct market again, it's as the crowdfunding campaigns have stepped up, and everybody has their opinions about these crowdfunding campaigns. And in my opinion, we absolutely have to get away from just calling them Kickstarters, because they're not. There are multiple platforms out there, and I'm not picking, and there should not be a political side, but there are multiple crowdfunding platforms out there, and calling it a Kickstarter is like calling a copying machine a Xerox. Mm-hmm. And we need to be careful about that, or maybe not, because then they'll lose their copyright on it once it becomes public, accepted as public terminology. But it's the platforms out there that are providing the way for a lot of people, a lot of artists out there to make a living, whether you agree with them or not, or if you have preconceived notions about how they fall, or you don't think that they think the way that you think, whatever. There's money coming into this market and like a waterfall right over top of them crowdfunding platforms that we all need to stand under with buckets and catch as much as we possibly can. And if you're not following and looking at those examples, then especially as an independent and alternative creator, you're missing out. Yeah. And you don't want to miss out, because everybody here deserves to have their say, to speak their mind, and to make a living.
Yep.
Well, good night, folks. That was awesome.
I've been doing this for a while,
man.
Brian.
Yeah,
you need to come on our show.
Absolutely, man. You said everything that I think all of us feel. So good job.
Thank you.
So I was going to ask, does anybody have anything to add to that?
No.
Jay?
No,
okay.
All of you.
He doesn't have enough alcohol in him yet.
I heard that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I get long-winded on this stuff because I love it. It's my passion,
I agree with you, Randy. I mean, I think that I do. I mean, I don't want to step on a future question that we have coming, but yeah, no, I look at what's happened, in 2020 with the crowdfunding platforms, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and so on. Like, man, that's the future, and I think 2020 proved that.
Yeah. I don't think it's the future, though, Brian. I think it's a future.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I think there's going to be one or two other schlubs, entrepreneurs like myself, who will go out there and find another direction.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, dire times, the creative people always pop out during these dire times, and they come up with stuff that just out of, you're doing what? Holy crap, I need to do that too. Look at back in the 50s, how when the Comic Code Authority sprung up, how shortly after that Warren magazine started up, an entire line of black and white started up. The over on the East Coast, or the West Coast, the underground situation sprung up. You're always going to see this art form survive, and it's I love it. And I love being at this point right now to see this happen, because I can't wait to go along and see who else is going to come up with an idea that all of us might be able to capitalize on.
Yeah. It'll definitely be nice to be there to see that. So, all right, let's move on. So here's one for you guys. What are you most looking forward to in 2021?
I knew that was coming.
In the real world. In the real world and in comics. So let's start with Ryan.
I'm looking forward to hopefully having all this COVID stuff behind us for sure.
Ooh, preach.
As we all are.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so that way, you can go back to conventions. I mean,
Mm.
I really love doing conventions, like seeing people face to face and inspiring like younger kids and stuff like that. That you can just
Yeah.
they walk up to your table and you know that they draw and stuff, and they're like all into it. And I don't know, that was like the most exciting thing for me. I'm really hoping that comes back. Yeah, that's my big thing. Backing a lot of Kickstarters too.
All right, cool. Nice. Steve, what are you looking forward to?
Getting back into the world. I think the general consensus is going to be finding an end to the pandemic, but that's going to take a while. And it's just what comes out the other side. So how is the comic market going to respond to it? How's the convention market going to respond to it? And what changes will be brought about from that? So I'm looking forward to seeing how the industry deals with it going forward now that they've had an idea of trying how to deal with it. For me, just publishing more on a regular schedule than I did this year.
Amen.
All right, cool. Jay?
Yeah, no, I want to say the same as Ryan and Steve there. I really would like conventions to come back because that's where I made the bulk of my income. The crowdfunding platforms where I raised the money to print out my books. Right, we don't do advertising, so that's what fits in for there. And I'm trying to figure out a new way to bring in revenue. To keep going. It seems like no matter what, you're always going to be working, by just tying up your boots and grinding it out as much as you can.
All right, cool. We'll work our way down to Randy and then up to Damien and then Brian. So, Randy.
What was the question again? What do we see upcoming?
No. Not what we see upcoming. What are the things you're most looking forward to in 2021, both personally and in comics?
Well, like I said before, I'm looking forward to getting a few more things out there into the direct market or out there into the comic arena, as opposed to doing commercial art and advertising and educational art. I'm really looking forward to that. Personally, I'm hoping that in the world that we'll see that. Well, I don't want to get I don't want to get too preachy. I like everybody else. I'm hoping for the bug to stop. I lost 2 major conventions that I was running last year that really irritated the crap out of me having to cancel, because this is one of the few times you actually get out of your hole and you're able to talk to people and go around and say hello to folks. And back when I was doing the paper, I started doing a local show here in Flint at the farmers market. And that's all of the people that read the paper that are really into reading the paper stop by, say hello. We charge $5 to get through the door, $50 for a table. And, we just have a good time. It's just pretty close to a party, an exhausting party, a good money-making party, though. If there wasn't the stimulus help and that, I don't know where I would have been financially, especially because when all of this lockdown happened, all of my clients also locked down. So that was pretty rough for a couple of months. I'm really hoping that does not happen again this year, and that we can all get back to business, that we can get stuff and just get stuff rolling. That's really my hope for this year.
All right, cool. Damien?
Being on the other side of that con table, not being in the aisle, being behind the table, being the one at the table. That's what I want. I want it back. I want that energy back, because like one good con would fuel me for a year. I could do one con a year and it would just be, I'd feel focused. I'd feel driven. And I have that anyway, but it's been such a hard year that it's, tamped that down.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that as far as comics in general, this sounds like such a prefabricated answer, but I really feel like some more synergy between digital and print comics. Less politics behind how things are released that way. More. I think it's getting there. I love paper comics. money makes me have to buy digital most of the time. So something like that, that's not going to hurt the shops, that's not going to hurt the people supporting us or supporting that industry. That's what I'd like to see.
You hippie.
Can't we all just move on, man?
So, Brian, what are you looking forward to?
Personally, I've fallen to one of the severe high risk categories during all this. So I have asthma, chronic asthma, and so my doctor was pretty much just like, you stay home and don't go anywhere. And so that's what I've done. I've gone nowhere, and we were talking before the show. I'm a social butterfly, and yes, and and so this has been hard. This has been really, really hard for me. So just simple things, going to the grocery store. Like my wife's been doing that. We've been doing a thing, a grocery store we have here. We do a click list where it's essentially, I shop online. She drives up, they put stuff in her car. I just want to enter into a grocery store again like a normal human being. I want to be able to go to the movies. I want to be able to go to a bookstore. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Go to a comic store and a bookstore. That's, I can't wait. So just things like that. I'm ready. We're all ready for this pandemic to be over. And then comics, I mentioned my asthma. I'm actually I'm branching out a little bit. We're doing 3 releases for Memoirs of an Angel, but one release is going to be called the Nebulizer, and it's essentially it's a mix between Bubble Boy and Mad Max. So have fun with that in your imagination. But I have had a blast writing that, and I'm actually going to get started on the artwork here in a couple months. So I personally that with comics, as far as crowdfunding and things like that, that is what I am looking forward to, and of course getting back at the Comic Cons. My goodness, I miss my con family. I miss I miss you guys, seeing you in person. Like, that's what I miss. I miss, being across the table, showing up early with donuts and laughing, and that's what I miss.
That's legit. He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I miss that the most about Comic Cons. It's just the camaraderie.
All right, cool. Well, we're joined by Michael Oden from Elysian Fields.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey. So, Mike, introduce yourself real quick. Oh, Mike, I don't know if you heard me. Introduce yourself real quick.
My name is Michael Oden. I'm the creator and writer of Elysian Fields. And we currently have our Indiegogo going. We just opted out of In Demand, so it'll probably be up for another day or so. And then we've got the Kickstarter running right now. So
right, cool. All right, well, you just might as well answer the question everybody else just answered. So what are you looking forward to in 2021, both in reality, the real world, and in comics?
Big things I'm looking forward to for 2021. Comics, I've got my projects that we've announced. I've got The Embrace, which is coming in the spring. Really excited for that title. I think people are going to enjoy it. There are a lot of creative projects that I've been seeing that look absolutely fantastic. My wallet is not going to be happy with 2021, but I probably will be. As far as real life stuff, I would love to get to a convention. It would be I've obviously been to a few from the consumer standpoint, but I've never been to one as a comic book creator. And so I'm looking forward to getting that first experience. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hoping that some of these local conventions near me come up, and I'm able to actually bring some product over there and get some connections with some potential fans.
All right, cool. I mean, for myself, I want to travel. I was looking forward to going to Japan last year. That didn't happen. It was either Japan or Paris, and got stuck at home. Nice. So, as far as comics are concerned, I know for myself, it's just creating more. That's just, like, I know Randy, it's a passion for Randy. I know it's a passion for everybody in this room. You understand? But it's been a passion for me for, like, for a long time. I mean, since I was a little kid. I mean, it's all I ever wanted to do, managed to do it, still doing it, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So yeah, that's it. I just want to keep making comics and and keep moving forward. Now we got hold on. This is from Joe from Exigency Studios. And he says, I feel different on this. I want to build up more revenue streams. I want to figure out more ways to drive people to my online or Comixology. I want to just find a way to distribute outside of Diamond. Now, this was going to actually lead into my next question is what do you think will happen in comics distribution in 2021? So, okay. So yeah, I mean, that's the next big question, and it's whether it be Diamond, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you personally going door to door, just talking to individual stores. Like, what do you think is going to happen in 2021 as far as distribution that you can see rolling out? Brian, this one's all for you, buddy. How do you?
Well, I feel like I don't know, the person that popped in my head first was like, man, I wish Randy would go first, but I think with this, I mean, I don't think Diamond's going to go away anytime soon. I think that's it's well established, it'll be here, but I do think we're going to start seeing, I mean, we've already started seeing alternate distributors pop up. I think you're going to start seeing some competitors, and as the crowdfunding continues, and I think it's going to look very different. I think it's just going to continue to increase with indie creators, kind of just doing it, doing it on their own with their own team of people, contacting stores, interacting with customers themselves. I just think that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and I don't really know what that looks like yet, but I think we're going to see more and more of that direction in 2021.
All right, cool. Damien, what do you see going on, or what do you see what you're going to be doing in 2021 as far as distribution?
At this stage, I'm more of I've tried Comixology. The lead time on getting on Comixology is 8 months to a year to get on there. I don't know if that's viable and still pay your bills with any of it. Self-promotion, primarily. I think that's going to be between crowdfunding and, kind of like Brian said, smaller. There have been lots of smaller distributors that have come up that Diamond's just crushed. Yeah. And I think it's easier now, especially with some of the, like Kablam, where you can send them your files and they send them out for you. You don't even have to take the books in hand. They will ship them to whoever ordered whatever. That kind of model, maybe not them themselves because they have their own issues, right, but sort of, I don't know, I want to say the app mentality, if that's a good way of putting it, where, I'm going to use this thing for this part, this thing for this part, and then I'm going to build my machine from those parts and try to keep them moving together, kind of like you would, again, if you're self-promoting. Me personally, I'm going to try to fit somewhere in there. I'm going to have books out. I'll go door to door. I don't care. I'll annoy my neighbors. I've actually gone to all the shops in our town before, and when I've had just like, here's 5 free copies, just sell them and let me know how it did, just to see if there was even a market for anything I was doing, and it did pretty well. So that was a long time ago, but and just an advancement of that same like old school mentality with the new tools.
Really quick, I just wanted to add this, if that's okay. Liberty distributors that Varian has put together, I just got on board with them, so that's what I'll be utilizing them as well. They're great. I've loved the experience so far, so you guys should definitely look into it if you haven't already.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm signing up with Liberty as well. Variant sent me all my information. Of course, like an idiot, I've yet to do it. So, but that's gonna happen over the next 2 days. So, all right. So, Jay, what do you see going on?
Well, there's a few Facebook groups out there of comic shops that are indie friendly. So I guess it's time effective to deal with those that are willing to just pick up your books directly rather than go through, channels and channels and channels. Other than that, I don't think comic shops are the answer either. Look, we grew up with a time, JD, you and me grew up in a time where comics weren't, they were in the stationery racks, they were in the pharmacy racks, they were in the bodegas, they were in the, they were in the checkout aisles at the supermarket. You know what I mean? Because they were impulse buys.
Yep.
And how do we get that? Because I think that's the way to get the younger kids, because it's impulse, right? The colors, stuff like that, grab the kids. How do we get them into those environments? Kids are not online doing crowdfunding support, right? Kids aren't going to comic shops. I'm in New York, and I'm lucky that we don't have one on every corner, but it's within a train ride or a bus ride. Other places, how easy is it for these kids to get to the shops, right? Especially now in this era, if the parents even letting them out. So how do we get those people into buying our books to keep the whole industry going? Because I'm sorry, I don't think comic shops are the way anymore.
All right, cool. Steve, what about you? How do you feel about it?
Well, to follow up on what Jay was just saying, Alterna tried to find an alternative way of distributing comics to newsstands, and that didn't seem to work out too well for them because they wound up pulling out of that. So far, it's just self-promotion, and the fact that my book titles are carried by Ingram Distribution, which is the distribution arm of Lightning Source, the printer that I use. So they may not appear in stores, but they can be ordered by stores. So most of my sales wind up going through Ingram to Amazon and Barnes and Noble and places like that to get sales. In terms of comics, I'd actually be interested to see what is it, UCS, the distributor that Midtown Comics set up, is going to do now that they cut DC loose. Would they be willing to consider indies for the market that they've just dropped off?
Yeah, I know Lunar says that I think at some point in the future they'd be interested in. I remember years ago, I buy a lot of my books from DCBS. That's the parent company to Lunar. And I remember one of their people found out that I actually self-published. And they said, look, if you want us to sell your books, we'll sell your books. And whatever price you give us, they take 15% and they give the rest off to the client base. At the time, I just wasn't really ready for that. But the thing is, they're a really excellent company. I have no doubt in my mind that if I contacted them tomorrow, that they wouldn't offer me the same deal. Now as to whether or not they'd want to go through Lunar, I don't know yet, because I'm pretty sure they're still having problems with DC, and picking up the slack for Midtown, because they say that Midtown was selling 2/3 of the product, and for them to have to take up all of that on top of what they have, I'm pretty sure that's probably driving somebody in there crazy.
Well, thank goodness DC chopped the hell out of their line then. No,
true.
not really. I'm just joking, but I'm being sarcastic. But it eased up Luna's hardship.
Yeah, well, and cash flow too.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan, how do you feel about it? What do you think is going to go
on? So aside from going to the channels where you already know people have an audience there, I think one of the ways people going forward is going to be through Kickstarter, but more in the aspect of like indie comic bundles. I've been seeing this a lot where I have friends launching Kickstarters and then they ask for free content to give out as either milestone bonuses or funding bonuses or stuff like that. So it's another way by you expand your network out their network is giving out like your content that you're probably already giving away to your email list or whatever for free
Mhm.
as your sign up bonuses. And it's going to be more ways for people to access your content. They're only getting the first issue. Then if they like it, they're enjoying it, they're reaching more actual fans, not just comic creators who are on the platform supporting other people. But the people that get on there and they get like 10, 15 comics or whatever it is, they go out there and they want to find out those other creators. They're going to come back finding your stuff. I think that's going to be a good way to spread out your work in a way that you couldn't just do on your own.
Yeah. No, that's definitely interesting because I mean, yeah, the one thing I think all of us have to do is we network like this, right? And I know I do my Kickstarters. I never contact any of you guys. Say, oh, well, I mean, once in a while I might drop you a line, say, okay, you just, but we don't, as just as a concerted effort, just get it all together and just really push, because we're all busy and we all have our own things going on, and but I think at some point, maybe in 2021, maybe as a group, say, okay, fuck it, let's do this, like just push the hell out of each other's books and every place we're at. And I mean, it's hard because not everybody has a Kickstarter at the same time or an Indiegogo at the same time, or some crowdfunding campaign at the same time, so it makes it difficult. And then and then we have other life things going on. We can't always be on Twitter and Facebook and all these other things.
I just mean like more of the bundle aspect. So like you see people who like they'll reach out like before, like say you were doing your Kickstarter in June or something like that, and you have your 2020 first podcast of the year group, and you reach out to everybody here and you get a comic from each of us. So then when you hit your 50%, 100% goal, it's or just a extra bonus for your digital backers. So that way, like they're spending $5-10. They're not only spending $5 on your comic that you're obviously using to get the funding, but they're also getting more value out of what you're offering. But that value isn't just for you; it's for everybody else. It's the rising tide raises all ships. We're all trying to help each other out. The more you can be in other people's streams, like you never know who's going to find your comic and love it.
Yeah. The only piece of advice I would give is don't put your information on the last page of your book. Make it your second page. Because everybody will read the rest of the book and they'll see the last page and they won't even pay attention to it. But if it's all the way at the front, there's a better chance of them seeing your website. A lot of people skip that over. No, good point. I mean, yeah, Ryan, definitely. I'm gonna reach out to all you guys, so watch out. It's gonna happen. Randy. Oh no, I'm sorry, Damien. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, just short answer on the social media thing. There's a free app called Hootsuite that you can go in and set up multiple. You can schedule when you want them to hit. So you can just I just copied and paste. I pulled an image off the main YouTube page, dropped it in there, copied and pasted the link, and then just did varying times throughout yesterday and today, set it up to schedule, and it just posted to all of my social medias. You can do like 5 at a time. It's totally free. It's like a paid version of it that's a lot more extensive, but just to be able to do that on the fly, you can do it that way.
Oh, that's cool. What's it called?
Hootsuite.
HOOT?
HOOTSUITE. And it has a web and a phone interface. You can do it on your phone as you're walking around.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right. Nice. I like that. I gotta look into that one. So Randy,
I really need to write that down. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, 45 minutes of your time and you're good to go for like a day or two or more, depending on how long.
Yeah.
I derailed. Sorry.
No problem. And any information like this is, valued amongst all of us. You never know where it's going to go. What should distribution wise? Thank goodness, DC decided to throw a monkey wrench in the work to Diamond. Maybe Diamond will start thinking twice about who they take on, who they don't take on, why they don't take people on, and the era of the exclusive has got to stop. The partial treatment to these larger companies is coming to an end. Whether Diamond wants to admit it or not, they can stay out there and be the dinosaur all they want, but and I've said this before, even on your show, they are the ones that are responsible for crippling this market the way that it is now. Marvel and DC and Diamond. All three of them are equally responsible. That and the retailers for not yelling back at them and demanding better respect, which they deserve from those three people. Now it's up to us. We need to find out ways, and that those entrepreneurials out there that I said, to find ways of trying to save these shops, because nobody's out there trying to save them. They're out there talking about what horrible product they're going to do in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. Nobody's out there intentionally trying to save their last point of distribution. And that's in everybody's mind, especially the last 30 years, those retailers have been their customers. That's why we've ended up with things like horrible multiple covers, variant covers, and sketch covers, and all of this stuff instead of just doing great comics. And I think you're going to see a lot of secondary distributors. I think Liberty's one of probably a half a dozen you're going to see spring up before the end of this year. Don't count Peter Samedi out just because he pulled out of the newspaper shops. He's going to start alternate distribution and distribute more than just his books. He's not just going to do that, but he's going to offer some of these alternative creators to piggyback on his print runs too. So you're going to end up with more newsprint comics out there than ever before. And printing newsprint is incredibly cheap. I still want to get him on one of the programs so I can ask him how he's even making money with a $1.50, $1.99, even $4.99 for 80-page price point, because there has to be. I want to know his reasoning for his pricing structure, because I've looked at it. I know how much comics like this cost, with a slick cover with some great newsprint on the inside with some good printing, and it's not very expensive. And I think the market has stuck itself in a rut for a long time that hopefully they're going to get out of this year and stop looking at the same paper and the same size and the same board to fit the same bag. That I think is a bad rut that everybody has gotten into. Is all you got to do is get comics out, figure out how to get comics out to the masses. And by masses, I mean how to drag the person off of the street back into the retail shop, how to drag the person off of the street to your YouTube in order to watch you and understand what you're doing in your product and buy into your product and your friends' products and your friends' friends' product and all of that. That's how we expand this market.
All right, cool.
It's just got to get done.
Yep. So, Michael, what do you see coming down the pike?
I mean, I don't even really know what to say at this point that hasn't already been said.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jay brought up a fantastic point earlier, where I think that we put way too much value in the comic store, because that's what we've kind of been conditioned to do. Prior to that, you would go into 7-Eleven, you'd go into your grocery store, and the comic books would be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And the comic book store has become less of like the majority of the things that really make the store money aren't even necessarily the books. Like it's the extra stuff, it's the action figures, it's the Magic the Gathering cards. Those are the things that are keeping those stores afloat, because the books that the main line are putting out there right now certainly aren't fucking hitting the sales points that they need to. So I think that, in that regard, we need to kind of shift focus into figuring out new ways to get our product to the consumer. And, I think crowdfunding is a great next step, but Randy has even gone on other streams and talking about how the longevity of crowdfunding isn't there. And there is going to come a point where we're not going to be able to really rely on that as much, because it is going to come to a point where people are like, why am I constantly doing this same routine? Why can't they figure out another way to do it? And I think that, all it's going to take is, as Randy has always said, it's just going to be somebody that's going to connect 1 + 1 together and equal 2. And they're going to come up with the next big thing. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't see into the future. I'm not clairvoyant. But like at the end of the day, we've got to keep evolving. We got to keep adapting, and us as indie, especially because we don't have the resources that these other companies do, and that's how we get by. Is we rub our elbows together, get work done, get into the muck, and go out there and do it. Connect with people as much as we can through streams like this. We connect with people on social media through group pages. We connect through people on Twitter. We connect with people in every way that we can, because it's the only way to ensure that our product gets out there. Because at the end of the day, most stores that I've dealt with anyway, personally, I haven't been able to get them to carry my books, whether it was because of COVID or because, despite saying that they're indie friendly, if you don't come from one of the big distribution companies, they're not going to take you seriously. They're going to tell you to fuck off. And like that's the whole thing. Is for us, like the main line is always going to have, or not always, but is going to have its bailouts, because they're almost too big to fail necessarily at this point. They have and I know Randy's shaking his head at me, but like there will, like, even though DC is shutting down its publishing house, it's still going to have, like, its main books will come out, and they'll find a way. Like, they won't necessarily, it's not going to be what it's been, but there will always be Batman books, there will always be Superman books, and they're always going to cash cow those IPs, whether it's them leasing smaller companies like IDW or Boom, which is what Marvel has been doing with some of their characters recently as well, to those smaller companies for an immediate paycheck without having to pay for any of the real production costs. They will find a way to do it. But for us as indie, like, we have a whole other approach that we have to go at it with, because at the end of the day, it is so reliant on us as individuals to go out there and get down and dirty.
You need to schedule a show for the first Sunday in 2022 so that we can sit down and replay this show. and see how that crystal ball is working.
I'm not clairvoyant. I'm not. I'm just going based off of what I've seen, and I know that DC is in a bad spot, and I know that Marvel is equally bad.
And I want to add on to what Michael said. He said that we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources, but we do have the advantage. We have the distinct advantage because we have the creativity. We are the thinkers. We are the true risk takers. Like I said, we are the true magicians, the wizards out here that are plowing this market into new territory. We're out there plowing the field, and sure, we have to pull up some old roots or some old boulders every once in a while and get them off of the field. But there's going to be people out there, and I sincerely believe, and I sincerely hope they come along real soon, who are going to find the next field to go out there and start plowing.
Randy, I hope what I said wasn't like down in the
No, I'm just adding to what you said. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, because like that's where I was going with it. Was we don't have a boardroom of marketing professionals to push out our content. We have just ourselves and the people that we know within the industry, and so we have to be creative, and it's the beauty of indie.
Heaven forbid the mainstream, if a large enough group of us actually get along, cooperate, and start working tightly together.
Yeah,
and not just to help us, but to go out there and save these retailers out there who were in dire straits before all this stuff started up. And are now even in a deeper hole than ever before.
Now, hold on. Now, what I want to do is actually touch on, I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to open it up. So this is my last question, and it goes to what Exigency Studios Joe was asking, or what he's looking to, he's looking to build up more revenue streams, right? Now, that one's always fascinated me, because, I mean, everybody does things a little differently. I use Kickstarter, I use Indiegogo, I use, I have some stuff on Comixology. I've discussed this before, and I mean, I'm just interested in like what other revenue streams you guys are working from or working towards or looking. Like I'm going to be doing a pin real soon, so that's going to go up on my next Kickstarter at some point. I want to do. There's a few other things I want to do, like little coin. So what are you guys looking at doing? And let's start with Mr. J.D. Rosario. Jay, you there?
Oh, me. Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you for a second. I'm actually looking for the pieces now, but
The boost kicked in.
2021. Yeah. So 20, my different revenue streams. All right. Besides the books, we do the cards, we do the shirts, we do the mugs, we do the buttons, right? Higher price point items, bigger margins and stuff like that. But the big thing is we landed a new project manager and our action figures are back online. So
Nice.
hopefully we can have the re-engineered sculpts done and be able to launch by our 13-year anniversary in May.
All right, cool. So he's looking at the toys. So, some people in the room got a lot of money. Anyway.
No, I don't. Brother, just the opposite. I'm not out here in Benches and Maseratis, baby. Yeah, I wish it was.
Right. Okay, sure. Wink, wink. Right, Rob, Joe, Jay. So, Steve, what are you looking to do to expand your revenue base?
I can't think of anything beyond what I'm already doing. Is this a follow-up to last week's discussion about tchotchkes on Kickstarters?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's
Because I personally don't have use for them, so I never think of them because, as I said to you last week, all I see doing ancillaries is more money coming out of my pocket to pay for them and hoping I'll make the money back, but it's no guarantee. So therefore, I don't really look to expand to that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, maybe if you did a Kickstarter or two, you might change your mind.
Tell me about your sculptures again, JD.
Oh, that was different. That was completely different. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Low blow,
Silvermane. Let me show you Silvermane. Listen. I still got a lot of these babies, but I love them.
Yes, you
They're
do.
still awesome. Still got a lot of these babies. I love them. They look great.
Does that mean?
Hey man, I I can't talk any shit because I did the same damn thing.
You invested in a bunch of toys too?
No, I didn't invest in a bunch of toys. I invested in a collector statue.
There you go. So he knows the pain.
Yes, I invested in toys. I did tie up a lot of my revenue that should have went to making more books. Yes, I made those mistakes. But it's you with the challenge coin.
This is even bigger than mine.
The challenge coin.
Whoa!
Look at that thing.
Michael was furious, guys. Look at that. That's actually really awesome looking.
No, it is.
That is huge.
But
And it's ripped out of and it's ripped from a panel inside of my book. So this is actually it's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Man, that looks man.
I do have to ask you, when you first got that, what feelings washed over you when you pulled that out of the box?
Oh, I can't believe. Well, the big thing that's important to know about this is that the statue was supposed to be here 2 weeks before it got here. So literally, it was just thank fucking God it got here.
Right.
I had to put it together because he sent it in the parts. It's very easy to assemble. It took me about I used some crazy glue. It took me 5 minutes tops.
Okay, yeah.
Because the way that we had it designed was so that everything would just piece together super easy. But literally I opened it and I was like, oh, thank fucking God, everything's okay. So it's this with this being 2020, this would be this would be the fucking thing where I'd get this package, I'd open it up, and everything would be broken. I'd just cry a lot.
So Jay, show your prototype.
So these are some of them. We've got 8 altogether. and the variations of it. These are two different figures, but they're pretty much the same buck, right? So the buck is the body frame, and pretty much the only thing that's different is the character's head, forearms, and calves. Everything else is the same buck between figure and figure. So that saves us money when it comes to tooling. Yes, is it a huge investment? Yes. Plus, we're looking at a run of 6,000 units at approximately $45,000. But the margin on that, well, at almost $7 a figure, $20 is pretty much what they're going for right now on crowdfunding platforms, stuff like that. You're looking at almost $10, $12 for each figure. So that's a hell of a margin per unit when you're looking at comic books. Whereas, okay, if you're going offset printing and you're paying 60 cents for a book and you're selling it at anywhere between $3 to $5, yeah, okay, it's still hard to move whichever one you're looking at. Sometimes I eat with my eyes.
Dude,
Right.
I feel you. I was there.
That's it.
Like, I honestly, this whole thing was just to literally right people are listening at the right time, because this whole thing started because JD asked me if I had the fuck you money, what would I make? And I was like, statue. And then my brother, who's big into the 3D printing community, was listening, and he goes, I think I can help you out with that, and got me in touch with some people. And it was expensive. It was a personal investment for sure. But I did not spend near as much money as like a lot of people do. I lucked out and just got in touch with people that were up and comers and didn't have a lot going on, and so I got really good rates on everything. So yeah,
that's good.
Well,
Now, Damien,
JD, your investment was pretty big, wasn't it?
it was not as big as yours. Probably more than Michael's. Enough to buy a car with. So
anyway.
it was expensive. But I
Like
got
a new car or a used?
brand
You're in New
new,
York, you don't need a car.
brand new with the stuff, all the good stuff.
Oof.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it's paid off. That's all I know. I paid it off, so that's all I know.
Good. That's what matters at the end of the day. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Damien was showing off some stuff. Damien, so what's your tchotchke or thing you'd like to bring out to the world?
Little figure here that looks tiny compared to everybody else's.
It's not about the size.
That's true. It's not about the size. How do you use it? It's utilization.
I wanted a figure of my own, even just for me and for my character Jared and Realm Rex. So I looked around, and the cheapest I could find was like $200, like for somebody just to make it, send me one. And I was like, well, a 3D printer's $200. Like at the time, it was on Amazon. So took about a month to teach myself how to 3D model, and that is what I have now. And
that's how you do it. Yeah.
With I also got into a lot of crafting videos as well on how to make silicone models or silicone molds and things. And so, it's actually cheaper just to 3D print it. It's like $1 and change per figure, if that. Right. So I could do like a $15, maybe $15 figure. I can also do other people's figures. Case in point, Brian, I haven't been able to get this to you yet, but
yes, I was hoping you were going to bring it up. Awesome. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm not good with flight simulators either. That's why I can't get it in the right spot.
Oh man.
Yeah. Eventually, I had one, and it was bronze. I painted it bronze and got it just looking right, and it fell off a shelf.
Oh.
So I'm going to make another big one, because it was about this much taller than this one.
Sweet.
And I have a bust that I made as well. And
you spoil me, sir. My goodness.
I didn't realize how much like drawing 3D modeling really is. It's just the added dimension, you just do it. So, I can do other people's figures as well. If anyone's looking for, I'm not trying to sell my stuff too much, but
can I add on to you, Damien?
do it.
If I can jump on to what you're talking about with the 3D world, right? We're tapping into another market by doing that, because if you look at crowdfunding, miniatures, those are huge on I know Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do on Indiegogo. I mean, those are some of the highest funded projects ever. So by you saying you have a miniature in your project, whether it's 3D printed, whether it's big scale like mine or like Oden is doing, right? We're reaching into that other revenue stream that we need to survive, and that's all we're trying to do, to survive out here, right? Damien,
sorry,
the next step on that, have you looked into? Have you looked into tabletop injection molding?
I haven't, but because right now, like I said, I'm doing everything literally by myself, so I want to take it in steps, so I'm not jumping too far.
Yeah.
Right now, I have a couple of
brother. We'll talk after this, man. I got some paths for you to follow.
Send me the links. What was something else? Oh, the idea I had though was that because of the general cost of making these figures anyway, to do an indie line, to do specifically an indie line for people that like me, who just want a figure, and we could do like a small line and go with that idea of, hey, let's all pool our resources and get people to see this, and maybe like a digital book or a copy of the book with the figure or something like that as a crowdfunded situation. I also do was also doing some DIY art for the covers.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Jay, I don't think Jay was the only one drinking. You all right there, Damien?
I don't know what's going on.
All right.
Water. This is water.
Water. Gotcha. Okay, cool. But no, that stuff looks great, man. I want to see more. Randy, what do you got going on? Well, what do you think? What other revenue streams do you think could possibly be tapped for this upcoming? The year we're in.
Well, I'm waiting for the proper digital platform to pop up. I really liked Wowio when it first started. They actually paid some decent money until they got taken over by other people. Then I really haven't looked much into digital since then. I did try a strip for 6 months or so that didn't really catch on, so I stopped working on that. But right now, I'm really just trying to work. I've got commercial clients, and I do advertising, illustration work, and stuff that I bring money in from. And if you haven't gone out there and really looked on how to apply, especially if you're a alternative creator where you do it all, you write and you draw. If you haven't gone out and tried to apply that to your local advertising, I stumbled across the nature preserve gig accidentally because I did the paper. They called me up and said, "Hey, we've been looking for somebody who can do comics for a while because we want to do this." So I was there for one quick meeting and everything was finalized. We were good to go. They were ecstatically pleased, and because I was doing exactly the opposite of their previous the previous people that they were working with, somebody who was universally trained, who was college trained. I walked in one meeting, had everything nailed down. So this is what you want to do. You want to do this type of character. You can't do this kind of character. You need to do this kind of character, that kind of thing. But if you're not out there applying yourself locally, you're missing out on some money. You really are. Make sure if you have advertising agencies in your area that they know of your abilities and that you're able to cartoon stuff. I got some of my best gigs because when I first, years ago, when I went around to the local t-shirt shops with samples of my stuff and says, you need a picture that you can't find clip art for? I'm your guy, So I was drawing oddball stuff, Viking sitting on top of a 8-ball with a cue stick in one hand and a mug of beer. Oh, I've been hitting hard cider. A mug of beer in the other. And eventually I became so valuable to that client that they wanted to bring me on full time. So it was part time, but at least they wanted me in house just for when those things popped up. Right. There's a lot of opportunity out there for you if you're a cartoonist illustrator to look for. Just have to keep your eyes open and go out and look a little bit. But as for my personal additional sources of income, if I get 2 crowdfunding books out this year, I will be ecstatically happy. I do have a third one that I desperately want to do. That's going to come with a bunch of trading cards because it is a huge cast of characters that I'm collecting of a book that I did back in the 80s that I desperately have wanted to do for a while. Everybody's that remembers that book has asked me to put together a collection on it. And so now we're going to do that. We're going to do like an omnibus type situation. When I do that, I want to do trading cards because there's some really unique characters there that really need to get out and be seen. Other than that, the current book that I'm working on, I'll offer sketches for additional money, but the anthology book is really, I might throw a couple of extra books in there that I did as Arrow Comics previously, but really the book there is going to be the big push. And the more people we get in, maybe the more pages we add, or if we might add an extra cover or whatever as a funding goal. But just getting that book out is going to be the big push. So those 2 books this year for me are really my goals. Let's see if it happens.
We'll make them happen. So Brian, what revenue streams are you looking at for this year?
Yeah, well, for this year, like I said, we're looking to push more books for sure. Looking to we're partnering. We partnered with Liberty Distribution, so trying to get into more shops nationwide. And definitely not last year. In 2019, my wife and I, because she's my business partner and all this, she and I just we took a little bit of a road trip, and like we talked about, we went kind of door to door at the comic shops regionally, and pretty much everybody was on board, and so we've got a really good connection with them, so we're looking to tap into that again. As far as the different, we got the new book, the Nebulizer, coming out this year, as well as the next installations of Memoirs of an Angel. With that, we have, man, we've done we've done trading cards. That's the newest thing. We've done bookmarks with magnets. We did a beanie this last Kickstarter that was actually really popular. And we've done T-shirts as well. The next step, I think we're kind of just going to hang there with the merch and different things. But the next step, I've been approached by a couple people in the last few years because of the nature of Memoirs of an Angel. It's high fantasy. It's got a lot of really interesting characters, interesting storylines, definitely, settings, environments. Probably going to move towards the RPG direction as a long-term goal. So this year, probably going to start, meeting with a couple people, getting that ball rolling. Cough, cough, Damien. About, just kind of getting the foundation set for that in the next couple of years. So this year is, continuing the merch, introducing some new stuff there, but not very much. It's more so focusing on the next, 5 years really of what direction we're going to go in, as well as putting out more books.
All right, cool. Ryan, where you at?
So for me with revenue, one of the reasons behind doing a sketchbook collection was like showcasing my art. It was kind of like also a portfolio piece. One of the things I'd like to personally do is like branch out and do more pinups, do more covers for indie comics, because like I'm really passionate about that stuff. I have a lot of fun. I get a lot of like, that's where I feel like more of my creativity can come through that way, because I can do whatever I want. And so I launched my art book in hopes that some people might see it and be like, hey, maybe this would be something I'm interested in. Hopefully into the future, I want to do enough covers that I could collect them into like a 11 by 17 book, print that up, like have 48 covers, have a different book that now is not only like, hey, you missed out on all these other books because you didn't buy every single variant I did, but now you have this product that I'm offering to you. And then maybe somebody else will see that and be like, hey, you know what, this is pretty cool, I want to get this, or I want to be able to be in the next book. So I'm thinking along the lines like, so I've already planted the seeds with that, hoping that it works out. And to answer Joe's question, if some other things you might want to look into is like doing anthologies. When I started doing anthologies, uh, the upsell price point of selling an anthology like made conventions that previously weren't profitable to me like way more profitable. Like I made back my table like 2-3 times Because now instead of just having a $5 book, I have a $30 book, hardcover. You know, anthologies are fantastic. If you're not out there like trying to find out like, you know, what's available, Philip Butenhorn has a Facebook group, Anthology, like submissions. Like there's just literally everybody goes there with all their open anthologies. You know, you get in there, you push yourself creatively. You know, you're networking, you're meeting more people. They're a lot of fun. It's like a great product that you have on your table to sell at the end. So those are my suggestions. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, cool. Now, I got a couple questions for Brian and Ryan. So let me start with Ryan. That 11 by 17 book, how would you get that printed? Like, who would like? Because I know, like, because you're looking to print like a big book, right? I mean, would you print that offset or POD?
I would probably, I don't know. It depends. I really like Printlore. I have a really good working relationship with the Sam Amborn. She's really nice. So pretty much I would go to her first and see if she can do the book. And then like, if she says, yeah, it's a go and it's this much, I would probably just go with her no matter what. I haven't looked too far because I'm still like really in the beginning. I have a long way to go before it's enough pages to justify printing a whole book. But you know, I would probably want to do that as an offset, like have at least 500 copies, you know, do like a small hardcover thing. You know, I think art books are timeless. Like, it's not like, you know, I made this in 2020. It's going to be, nobody's going to want it in 2025. You know, like I come back, I find creators at the end of their creative journey, like, oh man, like, you know, I go back and buy like 20 years worth of stuff. And it's like awesome to me. Like, I can't get enough of it.
Right. Now, well, hold on, because you mentioned the name, and I'm not familiar with the name. The lady what is she, a print broker?
Yeah. She works for Printlore. She used to be part of Kraken Print with her and Jacob Way. They split up. She started Printlore. She's fantastic.
Okay. What is that? Printmore.com?
Printlore, like
Lore, Lore.
Yeah,
okay.
Lore.
All right, cool. See, another website I got to look up.
Yeah, they're really cool.
That's cool. And because I mean, you know, you just said 500 books. Usually for offset, you know, I'm looking at 1,000. You know, and as being generous, you know, usually it's 2 or 3. You know, if you really want to do something. So you know, no, that's actually pretty cool. So Brian, you mentioned something like I'm just gonna fish everybody today. So Brian, you mentioned the thing about doing beanies.
Yeah.
Right. What was your minimum run on beanies?
Oh gosh, we did. It was a part of the Kickstarter. We've been wanting to do it. It was a stretch goal, and I can't remember how much they cost. You know, like, you know, the run. But we ended up selling them for like $12 additionally.
Okay.
Or they were an add-on is how we did it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we got a little bit more than what the orders that we got, because we wanted to have some in stock. But yeah, it surprised me, because selfishly I just wanted a beanie with my logo on it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so we finally found an excuse, you know, with the Kickstarter to do it. And so many people in the Kickstarter were like, hey, I want one of those. And, you know, how do I do this? How do I get this? And so it just kind of took off. But yeah, I want to say we went through Vistaprint, I believe. And yeah, it was a pretty good deal. But yeah, I believe we sold them for $12 a piece.
Cool. I'm out of questions. So what do you guys want to talk about? Who has a question for me? Everybody. I do this every week. So
I actually got to roll out here because I forgot that I have something to take care of this evening, and I just got a message about it, and I gotta go take care of it.
All right, Michael, take it easy, bro.
Mike, take care.
All right,
It's
take
been
care.
great seeing everybody.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, I'll catch you guys here in a bit.
All right,
Take it easy.
take it easy. Oh, so has anybody got a question for the group? Jay, you've been here before?
How far have you gotten?
Huh?
How far have you gotten on your challenge coins?
I'm talking to a because what had happened was I had contacted somebody. They put me in touch with some people, So I'm talking to them right now. I'm actually in the almost close to finishing the artwork and then getting a price. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, good.
So, you know, I mean, I'm probably in the next 2 weeks, I'm probably going to have it to them and then they're going to begin. So, you know, so yeah, so we're almost there, you know, do 100 pieces. And actually, it's not going to be a challenge coin at first. We're going to do a pin. Was a hard enamel pin.
Mm.
And then then I'm going to do I'll do the challenge coin a little bit later, but it's going to happen. You know, that will be coming. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for your toys, like what type of turnaround are you looking at?
18 months.
Wow. So you mean you won't see a finished product until 2023?
When he's working on his next book.
Correct.
That's crazy. That's because you know when I did Silvermane, I mean we were I think 6 to 8 months. I think was the turn we got on it. Yeah, 18 months. That's
but
nuts.
you were looking at one static piece, right?
Yeah. I was like, well, his arms
looking at one static piece. Yeah,
his arms move.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, we got 24 points of articulation,
Oh.
and we're further down the queue. Seeing how we're not putting the money up front, so we're going to be making 3 installments, and that's the way it is. Listen, I'm happy I got this far,
right?
You know, because we were dead in the water a few months ago.
That is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brian, like your book, like how far along do you think? How many more issues you got to go on that?
Oh, sir. We're probably looking about 50 issues. It's a long one. Yeah, it's an epic. And honestly, like I know I have all the story. You know, I've got all the major plot points. I know how it ends. You know, I worked on the story for like 15 years. And then finally pulled the trigger. And so I've got it going, and that's why like I'm not going to wait, you know, when other things like the nebulizer, you know, pop up. I'm not going to wait till Memoirs is over, because who the heck knows when that's going to, you know, how long that's actually going to take. But that was one of the big pushes to putting more books out each year, because I did the math, and, you know, doing 1 or 2 books a year, that's a long time. I'm going to be, you know, super old before it's over with. So, you know, putting 4 out a year is actually still quite a long time. But you know, I think a lot of indie creators, if they ever try to, you know, tackle something that big, you know, it's, you know, for me, I've always said, you know, worst case scenario, because I have such a passion for this story specifically and making comics, you know, if worst case scenario happens, everyone stops buying it. You know, it's, you know, you know, Comic Cons go under, the comic industry tanks, everything goes away. I'll still make it for my friends and family, just because
knock on wood when you say those things.
But like that, you know, that for me, like, so I'm doing this no matter what. So I might as well get as many people along for the ride as possible, just so, you know, we can all, you know, enjoy this together. And so yeah, that's, you know, that for me is it's a lengthy haul, but I'm ready for it, man. I love this story, and like I said, it's been brewing in my head and in my heart for quite some time.
Cool. Ryan, Sunmaker, man, what's going on with that?
Looking to finish up the next issue and final issue this year.
Nice.
So I got to finish that. Hopefully we'll launch. I would probably expect like summertime, but my friend that I do my Kickstarters with, John, he's pushing me to get it done a little bit faster. It all depends on work schedule. After I do that, then I want to collect it together into a hardcover and then add some extra back matter stories. Like I've been reaching out to some of my network, my friends, you know, doing a pinup in exchange for them like writing a story or doing like, you know, the artwork for it. So like I'm inspired by skull kickers, like I sent to you. So like that's kind of the model I'm going after. Is like I really liked after you finish it up, you have like a couple extra really fun stories. Some of them dig a little bit more into the universe, give a little more backstory that you didn't get while you were reading the book. It's just a little bit extra fun. It's an excuse to work with my friends. So I'm working on that. So then that will be my first comic book series that I complete, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I have the first 2 issues, and I was like, all right, where's the rest of it? So no, that's
Right now,
awesome.
it's just
Yeah, yeah.
very, very, very tight pencil.
No, I've been there. So Steve, what's going on? I know you have a couple things rolling, but I know there's a comic that you want to work on. I mean, what's going on with that?
There's a Lorelei special that I'm now waiting for my artist to complete. He's tied up with other people's Kickstarters, so I have to wait on him to finish drawing the 8-page introduction that I added to the comic, so that readers would actually know who this character is. And then there's the long-awaited third Pandora's Wyback novel that I'm working on, and then a couple of other projects that are nebulous at this point, but will get worked on as the year progresses.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to the other comic because I have the first one.
Yeah.
And the second one, I'm looking forward to that. Now, Randy, what's going on with your big monkey project?
Well, my big monkey project is sitting at 42 pages right now, done. Probably 150 before it's all completed, to tell you the truth. So that's going to take a little while longer yet. Hopefully we'll have, I'll be able to put Revolt together, the anthology together before that and get that rolling. Like I said, I want to do the crowdfunder for that sometime next month and get that underway as soon as I secure a second cover. We'll see how that goes. And then if the monkey book goes fast enough, the third project, the omnibus, will be out right after that. And then after that, I have a couple of superhero projects that I have desperately wanted to do for decades, literally, that have long histories. So I'm either going to go through and clean out, because I've done so much publishing in the past. I've got so many things sitting here that so few people have actually seen. Some stuff that was printed up in Canada for a couple of issues, and some stuff I got really close to printing before I shut Arrow down. Some stuff I printed under Arrow and hardly nobody saw. I've got, like, for example, I've had a sequel to War of the Worlds that I did with Caliber. Caliber has it now as War of the Worlds Infestation. That's available on Amazon, to give myself a self-plug. That Horace did the artwork for. I've got a sequel that's got 4 issues almost complete back here that just needs a 5th one drawn up for another complete graphic novel, pretty much, off of the same, in the same universe as the Infestation book. Other than that, I might put a bunch of them together into a large book. I'm not sure yet, because I did do a self-published book some time ago that I called Zim's Heroic Tales, that had a bunch of the superhero, that had 3 superhero properties in it that I printed, that I was taking around as kind of a business card portfolio to other publishers and going, here's 3 properties I would love to do. Read them. If you want any, if you are looking or interested in any of them, let me know, because I would really love to do them. That I only printed up like 150 of that book. We were going to solicit it through Diamond, but Diamond stalled and would not return our calls. Our rep, wonderful rep, way back when, this is like 2003, would not return our calls until finally the guy I was working with tracked him down, and he told him, well, Diamond's not interested in carrying a graphic novel with superheroes in it in black and white. And we're like, are you serious? Really? Are you serious? Because there's been like Southern Knights and Justice Machine and all of this other black and white. You're just telling us no to tell us no, aren't you?
Right.
So that was one of the straws that broke the camel's back as far as my association with Diamond. I might do it again, because I've still got that material around. I've got more material, got a lot of superhero stuff that I would love to do. Or you never know when another deal is going to pop up out of the blue, or, like I keep saying, some entrepreneur is going to come up with a way to do it. And I've got a lot of I'm don't want to sound like I'm boasting, but I got a lot of IPs that I would love to work on in this market, and just to get it out. You know, I got a funny animal superhero team book that I would love to do that's a little bit more serious than Captain Carrot. Not like Captain Carrot was ever serious, but that I would love to get done. You know, and a couple other superhero books that I'm aching to do. So you never know. After, but for now, the bucket list definitely is to get the Monkey book done, get the anthology done, get the next collection book out, and then look at where I'm at. And maybe it'll be another War of the Worlds. Maybe it'll be a superhero collection. All depends on who I find. A lot of this stuff I don't plan on doing the artwork on because my style tends to be a lot more cartoony than most, especially in modern comics. So, but I do want to find, I am out there looking for somebody to draw in like a Batman animated style because I've got a superhero team that would be killer in that look, you know.
Cool.
Something to do. Plans, you know, we'll see how it goes.
So, Damien, what's going on with any of your projects?
So, I hate when people start those things with, well, so, basically, here's the situation. The last time we spoke, the Kickstarter that I had done that the writer fell out. It's a long, complex story.
Right.
Anyway, rather than do a full graphic novel, I've decided to break it into issues. First issue's done art-wise. Because I am not a writer by trade, I'm more of a plot type of person. I did get together again with that friend of mine, Jim Tennell, who's a really amazing writer. He and I've been talking out we're going to script that. That should be out by the end of January. The first issue of that.
Cool.
Beyond that, the new direction that we're sort of taking with Realmer X is going to spin out of that. So that should. So the miniseries, so the crossover should be done by June, like finished out with a graphic novel on the way. Because that's what they paid for. They're going to get the graphic novel. I'm throwing in one of these for everybody that got one, just because they're cheap to make, easy to use, and I think it's a nice way to say thank you for your patience. So I want to give them. There's going to be a lot of extras in there. That's just out of my own pocket. I want to make up for the time. I'm really excited about Realmer X because I've been working on the idea off and on since I was 17 years old. And there's a lot of me throughout the years has been brought into the story as I've gone. And all of the holes are filled. All the plot holes are filled. All the direction is set. It's all ready to go. And it's going to be easy to do because I feel like finally I know where we're going. I know where we're ending. I know the journey. And so sitting down and getting that done and getting those books done, having them out in people's hands, on their screens, however they want to ingest it. That's what I'm looking forward to this year is really. Anybody else see Soul? We'll see the Disney movie Soul.
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not going to tell you anything. But the sense I got from that movie, because I know if you've seen the trailer, you're like, okay, I understand how that, that feels. I know that sense of like passion for something. I have had that since I was, 14, 15, 16, started getting into comics and started getting into making them. And I feel like I'm on the other side of that with an understanding that this is a language. This is, what we do is we create an idea, we put it out in the world, and then people can take that idea into their mind, and that idea can then spread. And so the message we can send through those things in my case, what I want to do is with Realmer all together. I feel like I'm selling.
We're all selling.
Life doesn't have to be horrible. True.
We're always
life can be hard and life can be difficult, especially after this last year. Life can be hard and it can be difficult and it can be a tough road to hoe, but have hope. Things can be better, things can be brighter, things can and you don't necessarily have to go, over the hill to the greener pasture. You could have that at home. You can have that You know, and your home can be wherever you make it.
Mhm.
And those are just themes that I know it's a sci-fi adventure story, but those are themes that mean a lot to me, and that I've really been able, with Jim's help, to put into the book. And so that's what I'm excited to do is it be what I wanted it to be from day one.
All right, cool, sounds good. Now, Jay, with your stuff, right? You're doing the toys, but they're based on some of these things that you call comic books, right? How you doing on your comics work?
Yes, they are. Like I said at the start of the show, I am about to start fulfilling my orders from my my just funded book, which was Storm Chaser Volume 1, collecting the first 4 issues, the graphic novel. Hopefully by the end of February, early March, we're going to be launching Volume 2 simultaneously with issue number 8 in one Kickstarter campaign, not just crowdfunding. Sorry, rated. But it will be on Kickstarter, and after that, we are looking at releasing the Dark Corner of Unstoppable Comics. So I'm going into the Universal Monster area, but not Universal Monster. You know, our spin, our take.
Mhm.
So the first issue is already inked on that one. We just got to get that one colored up. Hopefully that launches. So we'll look 2 months after March. We're looking at April, and then from that we go into the funding the figures.
All right, cool. Yeah. Now you're self-financing, or you're looking into a Kickstarter?
Oh, we have to, dude.
Okay.
Dude, $45,000. I get kicked out of my house. My old lady put me on the street in a second. What are you talking about?
God.
Are you kidding me?
That's why I went the 3D route. That's why I went to 3D printed out of my, practically made it in my basement route, because otherwise I couldn't.
Dude,
Hey,
she
we'll
was,
let you
she
move
was,
him with
you know, there was a lot of contention with the 3D printer. Just like you, I've got the Creality LCD 002, right? I picked that up, $200. We were going to get a tabletop injection molding machine, which was about $1,800, and each shot of plastic was 1 cubic square inch. So we were able to break down the figures piece by piece and would have got that done, but it was time consuming, right? And it takes away from writing comics. I don't just want to write comics, right? I want to do figures. I want to have the whole multimedia outlet thing. So putting the figures back into China and getting them manufactured over there, not spending as much time on it I should, is one of the things I talked to you about, in a previous show, which was giving up work to other people, letting them manage, not micromanaging every little thing, just making sure we have all our stuff in place. And with that project manager, we're going to be able to do that.
All right. Sounds good. Listen, guys, anybody else got anything they want to bring up, talk about? Any questions?
Don't you have a Kickstarter
Brian.
you can tell us about?
What?
So don't you got a Kickstarter?
Yeah, man, aren't you in the final days of your Kickstarter?
Yes,
sir?
that's right.
I want to hear about
Okay,
that.
fine. All right, fine. There we go. Look, there it is.
Woo!
That's the Oswald Chronicles. You got 3 more days to pick them up. So, there it is.
Very nice.
Yeah. Fantastic. Look, I have it right there.
I'm just picturing you at a convention, just like throwing your books at people walking by. Here, take it.
Yeah. No, I've told this story before, but Daphne, because I go with my wife, and she's the one I let sell the stuff, and I walk away from the table. And it's hilarious for her I get a phone call when I'm at the show, and she's like, "Get back to the table. I need you to sign a bunch of books."
Yeah.
So I'm getting that all the time. I'm like, okay, I gotta go.
Oh man, the exact same thing happens to us. Like, I'll get up, I'll be sitting there drawing, and we've got like a monitor set up so people can see what I'm drawing digitally and all that stuff. I'll get up, I'll walk around, I'll come back, and she's like, "Hey, we sold, however many books. They're gonna come back around so you can sign them." I'm like, "All right, whatever. I just might as well go home." She could just stand there and sell.
I've watched Robin
Dude,
work.
I know. She's like a crazy businesswoman. She's awesome.
No, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's what about convention, man. I love being that carnival barker. You know what I mean? Step right up. I'll grab you, man. Come up to the table. See what we got. Georgiak for a little bit. Yeah, have a beer with me.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think I have to hook up with Jay so he can sell my books at shows.
I'm there, baby. We got a whole team, brother. You know,
Yeah,
we pack the car. We drive as far as we can.
Jesus. Yeah, like so for you guys, what's the furthest convention you guys have ever been out to? You know, like furthest that you've driven from. Because I float out to California. Flying, that's easy. But you know, what's the longest drive you've ever taken to a comic book convention? Brian?
Well, actually, we have stayed regionally, mostly because a part of our business plan for the first 5 years was to really get, our from Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, that area just hit as much as we possibly can. It's and so we have the furthest we've gone is not very far. It's like 3 hours. Dayton, Ohio is the farthest that we've gone so far.
Yeah, but I mean, but you're an indie publisher. You have a business plan. What is this?
let me let me clarify. I draw and write comics, and my wife takes what I do and turns it into a business because she is so much smarter than I am. Actually, for years I tried to get this off the ground, but I didn't have the business parts. I've learned so much from her. And so when we sat down, when we decided that this was the road we were going to take, we worked out a business plan, and she's taught me quite a bit about that, and so yeah, we've got a structure and a plan, and I go off and make my funny books, and she makes it happen. So yeah, cool. Very thankful for her.
So Ryan, how far have you traveled from your home? Like I said, aside from flying.
So I live in eastern Pennsylvania. So the furthest I've gone to was Small Press Expo out in Ohio. I think that was like 8 to 10 hours. That was a really nice show, aside from the fact that people thought deodorant was optional. But I mean, like the books and stuff, they were really cool. I mean, like New York Comic Con is like pretty close to me, and Philly's pretty close to me, so those don't count. I'm looking forward to going to Heroes Con. I finally bought tickets after talking about going for like 5 years, and then the show got canceled. I was so bummed.
Yeah, that sucks. No, I got you. So, Steve, how far have you traveled? Because we've both been in San Diego, but how far have you gone?
And we both don't drive.
Yes, that's true.
But
JD, oh my gosh.
Round trip on a Greyhound bus to Orlando Comic Con.
No.
In 94.
10 hours.
Wow.
10
hours? No, brother.
No, yeah. For 18 hours?
Each way.
Each way.
Man, the collective groan from the group. My goodness.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Oh, he's out of New York City with me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. Wow. I could walk to Steve's house. I have.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right, cool. So, Randy, how far have you traveled?
Well, I've done a lot of traveling. No, my longest trip I ever did, I drove 5 hours from my house to Chicago for the Chicago Con, and then rode and drove. We traded off from Chicago to the San Diego Con. And I traveled with Motor City Comics. So we were traveling in a large van with a large trailer behind us. And if you haven't done that and gone through Bear Claw Pass in Montana, that's definitely an adventure. We went up. We made the week of it because the show wasn't for 2 weeks. So we took our time, drove across the plains where Dances with Wolves was made, stopped in this amazing car museum that I'll never forget. Guy had a Tucker. The old guy that was running the car museum. Where are you from? Flint. And his eyes gets really big. Flint. I got some cards you need to see. Takes me back into this old barn and shows me an original old style Dort. And one of our big main highways up here. It's Dort Highway. That was named after that. Where the Flint area was where GM started, with a bunch of little guys working out of their garages, all deciding to get together and make one great big company. So he took me around, showed me a couple of cars he didn't have out on the main floor. That was cool. Anyway, we drove up through Bear Claw Pass, spent a day in Yellowstone, which was amazing in and of itself. We went back I took the family back there a couple of years later. Unforgettable. If you haven't done it, you got to do it. Then we drove down to Las Vegas and flew our wives in. And
this
spent,
sounds like it used to be a comic book.
Yeah,
it was amazing. Oh yeah, it was definitely one of those Quest movies. Spent the weekend there. Ran over to San Diego through the desert, set up. And if you don't know Motor City is a big. They're not mile high, but they want to be. Okay, and they set up this huge display at conventions. I got to meet Kevin Smith, talk to him face to face. This was right after Clerks came out. I knew who he was. Nobody else. He had a Circle K jacket on, and was out looking. And Motor City has a huge display of comics. We had a bunch of big people come through. Ruben Blades, come in behind the counter, and I'm like, wait a minute, you can't wait a minute. And they come running over and says, oh no, he does this every San Diego show that we're at. Just let him sit behind the counter. He'll help us sell comics. And that's what he did. He sat behind the counter, and people would walk by and go, and he'd go, no, that's not me. I look like him, but I'm not him. And they'd go, oh, and they'd believe him and walk away. It was hilarious.
Awesome.
Absolutely hilarious. But this was long before Fear of the Walking Dead and his Grammys and all of that. It's just as he was transitioning into Latin music. But that was definitely an adventure. And then coming back, we went through New Mexico. And if you've never seen the New Mexico sky at night, that's another thing that you absolutely have to see. It's just stars, crazy. But we blew a tire in Mexico. That was a day. That was also, I was driving at the time, blew a tire on the trailer when that happened, started doing this. And I'm sitting here thinking, I got millions of comics. I got millions of dollars of comics right now. I better stop and pull this thing over.
I love that that's your first response. It's not the safety of myself and everyone in here. It's no. Comics.
You don't know the haul we were doing at the time. Yeah.
Oh man.
And it was me, another guy, and then the owner of Motor City Comics, Dan, that was traveling with us. So it was definitely a trip. And as far as me and my comic company, when I was doing Arrow Comics, I actually drove from Flint here down to New Orleans for a show.
Oh, nice.
And that was also an experience. I've never lost so much money at a show in my life. Never have. We stayed at the Sheraton, beautiful suite right on the bay, 2-3 blocks away from Bourbon Street. And we, at the time, we knew a few friends. This was back when comics, the whole air of comics was different than what it is today. And it was very much almost like a boys' club. Adam West was one of the stars, and the show was next to dead, the whole show. So he sat behind his table like this the entire time with a grumpy look on his face, waiting for people to come by to tell him how great he was. It was during a bad period in his life. But I made no money at that show. I got to meet Dwayne McDuffie though, which was amazing. Totally unforgettable. Great, phenomenal guy. Got to talk with his group for a while, and this was Milestone or right in that era, just as Milestone was running. And the nightlife was worth going, and it cost me twice as much, like doubled my expenses. And we knew one of the girls that was set up at the show was doing an after hours show at one of the clubs, the Golden Lion. And I'll never forget that because she come out and did a couple of shows, just totally unforgettable. And Tim Vigil was with us at the time, was with not really with our group, but we were down there all together because he had done some signings up in the Flint area. If you don't know who Tim Vigil is, you really need to know, especially if you're an adult. So let's put it that way. He does very adult-oriented literature. He had to go out and find the absolute, shall we say, seediest place that he could find off of Bourbon Street in order to enjoy himself. And we
It's
went
on Bourbon Street, man.
yeah. And I got a great education back then. Plus, another professional had been down there a couple of weeks beforehand and had scoped out all of the restaurants. So he knew where to eat and what to eat where.
Nice.
And when you have that kind of help with that kind of debauchery guiding the way, it just made for some great nightlife. Unforgettable time. It was a great time. I also remember not being able to sleep, and I got up at 4 a.m. and went out and took some shots because in Bourbon Street, I don't know if this was way pre-Katrina, off of Bourbon Street's this beautiful white marble church, just gorgeous and huge, that I wanted to go and take some shots with, and that was an unforgettable walk also because I got to walk down Bourbon Street while it was empty, and got to see the guys coming out with hoses. And I'm like, what the hell? They got to spray shit down until you realize that they're literally spraying all the vomit into the gutters.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And that, all you got to do is walk close to it and realize that's what it was. But it was truly an unforgettable time. This is all part of why we want conventions to come back.
Yes, sir.
So that we could have more of these kind of nightlifes where we actually have to take that road trip that could turn into a movie and go have a great time, out with our friends that we now we have podcasts.
Yeah.
So
not quite
getting arrested.
Not quite the same.
No, I'm not following that. I'm not following that. That's too great. I can't follow that. I had a table at Wizard World a couple times. Like, what? I've got nothing.
Well,
you sell comics. Like, that's it. That's my best story.
I want to try.
This was like the first and only time they ever threw that show down in New Orleans, and it was by a professional convention guy who knew us and said, "You need to come down. I'm throwing a show in New Orleans. You want to come down? We'll have some fun. Come on down." And sure enough, we had some fun. Didn't make any money, but we had some fun. Yeah, I mean no money. I lost thousands. I lost thousands at that show, and this was way back when. So
I want to be Randy when I grow. That's all.
Yeah.
Believe me, that nightlife is long gone. The conventions have shifted into more family-friendly stuff. I used to love to do science fiction shows, gaming shows, because there was one in Columbus, Marcon was what it was called. I would drive down, and I did it twice. Second time I learned my lesson, never did it again. But the first time I went, they had an entire floor that when you got off of the elevator, they checked your license to make sure you were old enough and stamped the back of your hand. And then the entire floor was just one room after the next of something interesting going on. That was a good show.
Randy's been told the good ones, but Jay, try to beat him. Go.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna try.
Go for it.
Randy, you got a lot more, but I got all right. So the furthest I ever drove was MegaCon. So that was an 18-hour drive from New York to Orlando for a con. But the worst drive was going to C2E2. I'm sorry, you Midwestern guys, but the Ohio State Turnpike is boring as shit. If there's any turnpike to like just daze off and maybe fall asleep when you're driving, it's the Ohio State Turnpike.
Yes,
and in the middle of the night, it is raw. I mean, try leaving in New York at 8 to beat Chicago by 8 in the morning to set up and just like on fumes. The convention that I didn't make any money on was I did a Wizard World Philly. And I think I came out of that 3-day weekend with $200 in my pocket. I hated it. I had Neil Adams sitting across from me, and he was like the Adam West. Neil was just like, he was a grumpy bastard. He just like sucked the air out of that whole area. The red light special was I did a Puerto Rico Comic Con, and I didn't want to say with any family out there, right? I wanted to experience the town on my own, and I booked a place that was in one of the seediest areas.
Ooh.
In San Juan, and you had your Blockbuster video aisles of night women, of hookers. You had your redheads, your brunettes, your blondes, your transvestites. I mean, it was just and it's like all the bars were there, but the bars are not like the bars here in the States. The bars are just like open garages out there, and it was a fucking party, man. That was. I didn't make any money at that convention, but that's also because I spent all my money partying at that con. You know. But the longest drive I ever had was not for a con. I drove from New York to Dallas, 28 hours through the Smoky Mountains in the middle of the night, and that is some scary shit. 2-lane highways with big old.
You took people with you, didn't you?
In the rain. One person who couldn't see at night. That bastard.
Oh no! Yeah. I feel for you, man. I do. Yeah. Wow.
I've never done any West Coast shows. All my shows have been driving, you know, because I got a lot of merch, not just books, but the shirts, the glasses, the shot glasses, all the ancillary merchandise, right? And I just pack all of that stuff in, you know, to the back seat and the trunk, and we rock and roll. You know, we've gone Boston all the way down to Florida, you know, and flown to Puerto Rico.
Wow, crazy. I mean, the furthest I've ever driven is I had a friend call me up. He said, JD, do you want to go to Kentucky? And I was like, why?
Wow.
And I was just like, why? He was like, they have a convention out there. I was like, they do? And I was like, fuck it, sign me up.
Who'd have thought in the middle of vast grassland there'd be a venue? Who knew?
Well, hey man, here in Louisville, Kentucky, we try to have a Comic-Con. Oh my gosh, like really, it's ridiculous. We have like different Comic-Cons that come in and they're like successes, and then they don't come back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Or they switch hands like every other year. There's just
it's like
crazy.
we had Derby City Comic-Con, which was a really good indie show. It fizzled out the last couple years, but it was really solid. And then we got SuperCon that came in, and it was just the date was really bad. It was the weekend after Thanksgiving, so nobody had any money.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone showed up. They had a lot of people that came and saw celebrities and didn't buy anything from anybody else. And so nobody really had a good show that year. And then they changed their name to GalaxyCon. And that year, which was 2019, was great. It was a great show. And then they couldn't make a deal with our convention center. And so they pulled out from here on out. We don't know. So as of now, we don't have a Comic-Con again.
Which I bet they can make a deal with your convention center now.
Oh yeah, I used to work by the convention center, and I know people that work there, and they've been begging places to come back.
Good.
And they won't come back. They were like, "Well, you wouldn't work with us when we needed you to, so why should we come back to you?"
Right? Yeah.
And that was I think that was a 16-hour drive for me.
Yeah, man, that's a long way.
Mind you, I'm not driving. I'm shotgun because, like I said, I don't drive.
You don't drive,
so, but you know, I have to stay awake the entire time with the driver. You know?
I don't think there's any routes out to Kentucky from where you're at. It's all side expressway. You're going from big city to big city, almost like you're connecting dots. Yeah.
My wife has family in New York, so they have to take the main highways there. Yeah.
I mean, we had fun, but it was just a long ass drive. But I mean, considering the people I was with, we had a good time. But that's the longest drive I've ever taken to a show. You know, the other one would have been Motor City Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And that was forever ago, and that was another 16-hour drive.
What show was it in Kentucky that you went to?
I don't remember. It was like in either 2015 or 2016.
And how long ago were you at Motor City?
Woof, that was in the 90s.
Yeah, because that used to be my big hangout there. I did their shirt for them for a lot of that Motor City Comic-Con. That's Motor City Comics, the same guys I traveled with over to San Diego. So I used to do the T-shirt for them for about 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, I remember.
20 years. I did successive shirts. The only shirt I didn't do for them was one that Valiant, back when Unity was coming out, volunteered to do their shirt for them for next to free, and the thing was a disaster. It was a muddy, horrible looking mess.
That was what, 92, right?
For that Valiant shirt? That sounds about right.
92, 91 or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but
listen,
all the
we
rest of those shirts I did and did the color separations and oversaw the printing on.
nice.
All right, nice.
I don't think you've cut your teeth as an indie comic guy unless you've brushed your teeth at 6 o'clock in the morning outside a rest stop. I don't know if you're going to have enough time before the show
Yeah.
started. Man.
When that happens, you've been initiated. There you go.
Well, really, in the Midwest, you haven't really been an indie comics guy unless you wake up Sunday morning and have a slice of Giordano's pizza for breakfast.
Oh,
because
there it is.
that's pie. We're talking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week.
Are we going to get into a great pizza debate now?
You're not going to win. You're not going to win, brother.
Yeah, no. Everybody has their favorites, you know.
Yeah.
And even Giordano's ain't what it used to be. So,
All right, I think
Pretty delicious though.
but it used to be cake. Sunday
Right.
morning cake.
right,
Breakfast
guys,
of champions.
we're running a little long here, so we're gonna wrap it up. So let's start with Brian. Can you just let everybody know where can they find you and your work?
Absolutely. I am Brian Rodman. You can go to brianrodman.com. All my social media is on the main page as soon as you get there. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. And I am also the co-host of the Dastardly Dingoes podcast. You can go to YouTube, type in Dastardly Dingoes podcast, and our goofy mugs will pop up. Our show is all about all things nerdy, and we this past year have been able to interview some really great folks. But yeah, I the writer and artist of Memoirs of an Angel, horror fantasy comic book series, and we've got a Kickstarter coming out in February, and then 3 more times this year. We haven't mapped it out yet, but it's going to be 4 Kickstarters running this year. So take a look out. Be on the lookout for that.
That was the Dastardly who?
Dastardly Dingoes.
Dingoes. Okay. Because I wasn't sure if you said dingo or gringo.
Now I wish we would have said the other. Dang it.
I got it now. I'll have to listen.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. So Ryan, where can everybody find you?
Real easy. I'm Ryan Croboth. You can find me at ryancroboth.com. That has links to my Twitter, Facebook, email. So if you need to connect me anyway, that's the easiest way. Just portals to everything.
All right, cool. Steve, where can everybody find you?
At Star Warp Concepts. It's StarWarpConcepts.com. And we're horror and fantasy and dark fantasy publisher, comics and novels and graphic novels.
All right, cool. Randy, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on the Twitter under Randy Zim. I don't twit very often, but when I do, it's Randy Zim, Zimm. I also do the Zim Geek channel on YouTube. That's ZIMMGEEK. Please pop over there, like, subscribe. I don't put up content very often, but I promise next year I will put up, or this year I will put up more than I did last year, because I think I only did like 3 of them last year. But I'm also part of the Indie Volt Radio Network, and that's at indievolt.com. They're also on YouTube, on Facebook, on just about every platform that you can, all the important ones at least, that you can listen to podcasts from. I do a co-host job with Varian Grant, who's also tied into Liberty Distribution. I do a co-host job on Tuesday nights. We have a live wire program at 9 p.m. and all of these times are Eastern Standard Time. On Monday, they do a program about web strips. It came from Webtoons that I don't have anything to do with. That's run by Michael Oden, who is on here, and Eric Hodson. And then Wednesday, there's a female-oriented strip series podcast called Geekgasm that Daphne Lage and Meredith Logren are hosting right now, that Varian's wife normally hosts and will run as soon as she feels better. That's at Wednesday night at 9. Then Thursday morning, we do the Breakfast Buzz so that we can catch these guys over in England early in their afternoon and talk to them and anybody else who's foolish enough to be up and available on Thursday morning. We call that the Breakfast Buzz. That's Thursday at 9 a.m. Then again on Sundays at 9 a.m., I do the Sunday Funnies, which is a program dedicated to lighthearted and whimsical comics and the more fun and funny side of funny books. And that's at 9 a.m. on Sundays. And I host that myself because usually Varian doesn't get up that early. On a Sunday. Yeah.
I don't blame him. So, Damien, where can they find you and your work?
Damien Waldron on Facebook. Right now, I've really only got 2 sites up. One is ruomniversal.com, which has some of my comic work, some other things that I'm working on. Radio Free Omniverse is our radio station, 24/7 music. We try to go with themes right now. Actually, after the show, we're doing MF Doom, the hip hop artist. Love the man. Passed away last week, and or I think New Year's Eve. So we're doing 24 hours of Doom on the station. So if you want to check that out, feel free. But yeah, totally free. Beyond that, I'm around. I'm on Facebook. Hit me up.
All right.
Say hello.
Cool. JD, where can everybody find you and your work?
All right, so that's Unstoppable Comics on Facebook, Unstoppable Comics on Instagram, UnstoppableComics.com, Unstoppable COM on Twitter, because comics doesn't fit. I can fit everything under 15 letters. And that's it.
All right. That's cool. So, yeah, I'm JD Calderon. So please hit like, hit subscribe. Go check out the Oswald Chronicles on Kickstarter. Only available for the next 3 days until my next one.
Do it.
Do it. Exactly. You need magical mice and sorceress orcs in your lifetime. I'm telling you, you need them in your life. Go get them. So thank you so much for everybody. Hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, and I'll be talking to you all soon. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Take care, everybody. Stay healthy.
Take care.
Yeah.